Good evening. My name is Turner Bitton. I'm the executive director here at Westview Media. Tonight is the first in our series of events called Candid Candidates. And tonight we are joined by Jennifer Fresques, who is running for Salt Lake County Assessor. Jennifer, like to welcome you to our live stream tonight.
Thank you. It's very nice to be here.
Thank you. I know this format is a little interesting. We would love to be hosting you tonight for an in-person town hall, but we're taking all the precautions we can to keep our neighborhood safe. And I appreciate you taking the opportunity to be with us tonight digitally.
Absolutely. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. That's great.
Thank you. So just a couple of housekeeping items for those that are watching live on Facebook. We would invite you to submit your questions through the comment capability there on Facebook. I'll be monitoring that and I'll be sure to ask those questions of Jennifer. As we get started, we have a couple of prepared questions for Jennifer. So I'm going to go ahead and first give you the opportunity, Jennifer. Why don't you tell us about yourself, your family, your background, that kind of thing.
Excellent. So born and raised here in Utah in Salt Lake County. I spent some of my childhood in West Valley, some in Taylorsville. We currently live in West Valley. Working class family. My mother works for the post office. She's a carrier. So kind of interesting times for them as well. What else? I am married to an amazing man who is supporting me in all these crazy activities I decided to jump into. We have two amazing sons, 9 and 10, which presents new challenges, as I'm sure most of your viewers are also dealing with, COVID and school. So we are attempting to, thankfully, we have the opportunity to currently work from home most of the time, and dealing with some homeschooling. So that's new. Yeah, that's us in a nutshell. We do love to spend time as a family, snowball fights when it's winter, playing in the lake when it's summer, lots of card games, movies. We like to keep active and laugh.
That's great. So I imagine that running for office right now is a little bit different than you imagined it at the beginning of the year, right?
Yes. I mean, it's a whole new ballgame for me to begin with because I've never run for an office. So I guess it's kind of a good time to jump in because it's new to everybody. This is a whole new ballgame where you can't go out and meet people in person as much as you would like. And we thankfully have media outlets like yourself to help us get the word out.
Yeah. Well, we're very grateful that you joined us tonight. That's a good segue into our first question for you. I'm kind of shifting the order up there for the ones that I sent you earlier, but what actually made you decide to jump in and run for county assessor?
Sure. I hadn't seen myself running for office at this stage of my career, but I've spent 12 years in the assessor's office, and there's some issues that I've noticed. There are things that people have brought to me, concerns that they have, and I've taken those up with our current administration. I have done my best to make positive changes in the office. And I kept telling myself, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. And it finally hit me. It's not going to get better. If you don't get out there and run and try to make those changes yourself, it's not going to get better. So political person or no, experience or no in politics, I know what the office needs. I know the changes we desperately need to make. And so I'm throwing myself out there.
Well, thank you. I purposely left this question off, but we're talking about assessing things. Can you tell us what the assessor assesses?
That's an excellent question, and one that I definitely was going to dive into. Until I worked for the assessor's office, I had no idea what the assessor did, and I was a homeowner. I still get questions from people all the time about who is the assessor and what do you do? So it is our job to put a value on all real property throughout the county. So whether you own a home or you own a commercial property or you own vacant land, we have to put a value on that property. That value is then used to determine your share of the taxes. So we don't determine the tax rate. We don't determine exactly how much you have to pay in taxes, but we do try to put a fair market value on your home so that the tax burden can be equitably spread, so that you're not weighing down with more tax burden than you should be. We also handle personal property for businesses. So, I mean, we're in a lot of people's lives, whether they realize it or not. That's one of the things I would like to do if elected, is have more public outreach so that people do know who we are, what we do, and ways that we can possibly help them.
Thank you. So that feeds into really good the next question, but what do you think is the most important role that you can play as the next county assessor?
It's really hard to boil it down to the most important, of course, but some of the things I find that I feel are important. One is public outreach. Getting out there, letting people know who the assessor is, talking to them about how we got their values, talking to them about what to do if they feel the value is wrong. Another thing I would love to do is fix things internally. We have trouble attracting and retaining the best qualified candidates. The better people we have, the better your values are, the better the service you get. So all of that's really important to me. I would also like to train our people a little bit more on tax relief options. We don't handle the tax relief, that's the treasurer's office, but we talk to taxpayers all year long, especially right now when their valuations have gone out. So I would like to train our people to recognize when they're speaking to a taxpayer, this is a person who might benefit from tax relief or some tax abatement is the word I'm looking for, and be able to guide them towards resources to apply for that.
Thank you. So when you assess the value of a property, you said you don't set the rate and that type of thing. So you come and you determine the value of my home. How then is that where your role as the assessor ends, or is there more to that process?
For the most part, that's where our role ends. We determine that value. The taxing entities determine how much they're supposed to get and what their tax rates are going to be. And they are limited to the same amount in taxes as they had the previous year with any new growth added. So if they want to increase their tax rates, that's up to the taxing entity to have meetings and let people know that that's coming. So we handle just the value. Now, this time of year, once your valuation notices go out, if you look at it and you say, this is wrong, well, it's mass appraisal. So we're trying really hard to get it right, but we're not going to get it right every time. And so another role that we play is for appeals. So if you feel like the value is wrong, you appeal that value. We look at it on a singular basis. Instead of as a mass of 360,000 parcels, we look at just your home and we pull comps and we say, okay, did we hit the mark or did we not? And you submit evidence to let us know, here's why I think the value is wrong. And we weigh that out. And if we're wrong, we fix it. If we feel like, no, we really did hit it, then we're going to go forward. And that's kind of where our part ends, because then there's someone else who decides which one of us is right. But we do play a role in trying to determine, did we get it right?
Thank you. So you're not coming out to each individual house and saying, looking at this, and I know that's impossible. You mentioned 360,000 parcels, but so you're not coming out individually and look at each home or business.
So once every 5 years, we do have someone who physically visits every home, but that's every 5 years. We do make adjustments based on the market and based on comparables throughout every year, but we physically visit every 5 years. So if you feel like maybe we have the information wrong on your home, then we would love to have that conversation with you and try and get it corrected. Because again, it's only once every 5 years. We don't have the manpower, unfortunately, to get out to every home every year and do like a full appraisal. That's just not going to happen with the people that we have on board.
Thank you. Yeah, that's helpful. So you mentioned that you work in the assessor's office currently. Do you work in the Salt Lake County Assessor's office?
I do. Okay. I've been in the Salt Lake County Assessor's office for 12 years, well, over 12 years now. I worked my way up the ranks from the bottom and worked in leadership for the last several years. Last year, I was promoted to commercial supervisor, which makes me the first commercial appraisal manager to be a woman at Salt Lake County ever. So I'm pretty proud of making it to that point. I got my certified general appraiser license, which is the top licensing that the state of Utah hands out for appraisal. That allows me to understand not only residential valuation, but also commercial valuation.
Thank you. So what are the qualifications? Are you a CPA? What's your background, and kind of what are the qualifications to work in the assessor's office?
Sure. So I have a bachelor's degree in accounting. In order to get licensed at this point in time, you do have to have more of an advanced degree, especially if you want to go for certification. So after I started at the assessor's office, I went through the licensing process. Beyond your degree, it's another, I believe it's 150 hours of education. And then you have to put in 2,000 hours of experience, as well as write several reports. So I did that for licensing. After that, I took, I think, another 150 education hours and another 2,000 or so hours of experience to get my certified general. So it's no longer a real easy route to get to the level I've gotten to. I had to jump through a lot of hoops, but I did it, and that helped me gain the education and experience to be able to value the properties and hopefully get it right most of the time.
Well, thank you. For a lot of folks that are watching, I'm just going to take a quick segment and just remind folks that are tuning in now that if you have questions for Jennifer, please submit them in the chat here on Facebook. This event is being recorded and a recording will be made available. So if you missed the first part, we'll make sure that recording is posted after the fact. The next question for you, Jennifer, is what do you see as kind of the biggest issue that you'd like to tackle when you're elected?
Oh, externally, like I said, I want more public outreach. I want people to understand who we are and what their options are if they feel like we're wrong, or like I said, if they need relief for some of those taxes. Internally, we need more proactive leadership than we have had. We need to start preventing the fires instead of just putting them out. And a lot of that has gone, I mean, we have improved training since I started immensely. There's a lot more training that goes on internally, and I am proud that I helped facilitate that. But we are still losing excellent employees, and we need to find better ways to attract and retain really good employees so that we can put out the best product for the taxpayers and give you the best customer service.
Thank you. How long is the term for the county assessor? I know that there are different terms for different officers.
This is 4 years.
4 years. Okay. The next question is actually one that came in before this from the audience, and it's from a man named Jay. He asks, what can you do to make tax assessments more transparent? He mentioned in his email to me that he was retired and on a limited income. He feels that his property has been assessed at too high of a level.
And the first question I always have to ask people is, are you unhappy with the amount of taxes, or are you unhappy with the value? Because I can't fix the taxes, but if the value is wrong or you feel like it's wrong, then let's talk. So one thing we can do is talk about the specific property. Do we have the condition correct? Do we have the square footage correct? Do we have the amount of finish correct? Are our records correct? We can start there. The other thing we can do is talk to them a little bit about the market. If they do decide this value is too high, then I can help say, okay, here's how you appeal. And one of the things I suggest is reaching out. If you feel like it's wrong, reach out to a real estate individual, ask for a CMA, which is a comparative market analysis. It's a reasonably simple thing for them to do. I would be willing to bet most would do that for free, because obviously, I mean, you're getting good PR if you're helping people. People are more willing to send people your way. They're more willing to come and visit you for business. So most of them probably will do that for you for free. We're not saying go out and spend $300, $400 on an appraisal. Most cases don't require that. So I guess the biggest thing for transparency is communication. I think we have lacked communication with the taxpayer as well as internally. And that's something I really, really want to improve on.
Thank you. Do you have specific ideas for how to improve that communication, or yeah?
Part of that's public outreach. I mean, assuming we weren't in the middle of COVID, it's going out to senior centers and meeting with people who are probably like Jay to talk to them about what they feel the issues are, what they feel the problems are, being available to go out to places to talk to people, or even when they call, we're gonna seriously address whatever it is you're calling us about. We're going to have genuine concern. within the office, we really need to have better communication amongst our departments, and better communication amongst the whole county, because as I mentioned, the treasurer handles tax relief, we don't. But that doesn't mean that we can't help people along the right path to get there. And then working with the recorder's office, did everything get recorded correctly? Do they need more information? So it's really just opening the lines of communication. And like I said, outreach when that's safe again.
Thank you. We did receive an audience question. What is the difference between a property value assessment and the assessment that you do, or is there any difference?
Sure. So in Utah, we attempt to assess at 100% of the fair market value, meaning that we're going to try to get that actual value. There is a slight difference though for residential people. So if you own a home, or even if you own apartments where people, that's their primary residence, there is a primary residential exemption, which means that we figure out the fair market value, and then we take 55% of that to determine your taxes. So you basically get 45% exemption from that. That leads into another issue. Legislation decided last year to have the assessor's office send out letters to anyone whose physical address did not match their mailing address. And what that does is says you have to go out and say, yes, I am claiming a primary residential exemption. If you don't do that, you could lose it. So we sent that letter out. The last time I checked, we had gotten about 64% that had completed it. So if you are one of the people that received that letter, please go out and fill out the form. I don't want to see people lose their residential exemption if they should have it. And that's another place where I would have gone to the media ahead of sending those letters and said, I want to get out to people. I want to talk to people and let them know that this is about to come down, because it wasn't our choice to do this. We just got put into the role of sending it. But we could have been more proactive in how we handled it.
Thank you. At a practical level, what does having a primary residence exemption mean for the average property owner?
It means paying less taxes.
Okay.
So instead of paying on 100%, you're getting about half that. It's a little more than half, but you're going to pay half the taxes that you would pay without it. So you do want to make sure you're getting that. You don't want to lose that. That's a big exemption.
Yeah. So I guess the second to last question that I'm going to ask you before oh, we just had an audience question come in. I'm going to get to this first.
Sure.
Give me just 1 second to read this. It's coming in from Kimberly. So she says that we've been listed as having 2 bathrooms in our home ever since it was built, but they only have 1. They've written numerous times and explained in writing that the tax assessor, that they don't have 2 bathrooms. And apparently one is just a plumbing set in the basement. So what can they do to appeal this or to reach you?
First, I want to apologize to Kimberly. I think it's incredibly unfortunate that she's reached out and has not. I hope she at least heard back from someone. If she didn't, I'm sorry. You are more than welcome to reach out to me or to anyone there, but because you've missed out on getting someone so far, please feel free to reach out to me. You can give me a call since it's work, you can reach out to me at work, which is 385-468-7991.
Would you repeat that one more time?
Absolutely. 385-468-7991. Or she can email me, which is just jfresques, FRESQUES, @slco.org. Depending on where you live, we can try and get someone out to take a look at it with you. If you're in Salt Lake City, we aren't currently going into homes because of the mandates there. But let's talk it through. If it turns out that there truly is not a bathroom there, then we need to fix the records. So number one, I genuinely apologize that you didn't get answers, but I'd like to help you get them. So reach out, let's talk about it, and we'll try and get it fixed.
Thank you.
We want the records to be right.
Thank you. I missed the second half of her question, which was, does the assessor count plumbing put in by the builder as an actual bathroom, or is that maybe an incorrect assessment?
Generally, I don't believe that we would do just some plumbing. I mean, if, let's say you didn't finish out the bathroom, but you put in a toilet and a sink, if you're actually utilizing it as a bathroom, then we're probably going to count it as a bathroom. But if it's just plumbed in, I would be quite surprised if we counted that. I mean, I'm pretty sure we got plumbed in for a wet bar downstairs, but that's not currently functional. So I would hope that we aren't counting that. As far as I'm aware, we don't.
Thank you. And Kimberly, I just want to say thank you. I'll be sure to edit my comment and add Jennifer's email in there and respond. I put the phone number there that Jennifer mentioned. You can contact her at. I'd also like to invite anyone else who's watching live to submit questions. I haven't seen any new ones come in since Kimberly submitted hers. And Kimberly just followed up and said, thank you, we have no fixtures, and she'll be in touch. So thank you for that, Jennifer.
Absolutely.
The last question I want to ask you before, well, it's the second to last question, but is there any specific message that you would like your campaign to send about the assessor's office, or, you know, kind of what is your, I guess, elevator pitch for the last, this last question from me?
So we've had the same leadership for a very, very long time. It is time for a fresh perspective in our department. It is time for some new management, and I am up to the challenge. I have been in the office for 12 years. I have made an open door policy so that people can come to me with issues, and I've done my best to address the issues at the level I'm at. It's time to elevate that. It's time to get to a level where I can actually address their issues and fix the problems. And one of my biggest things here is vote. Whether you vote for me or not, vote, and vote all the way down the ballot. There is a trend that maybe 20,000 fewer people vote for people clear down the ballot like myself than vote for president. And I'm not as important as the president. But the people down the ballot are handling your local issues. It is important, whether you feel it in your daily life or not. It's important who's in there. It's important that it's being run well, because if it's not, you don't get the best quality people. You don't get the best product. Thank you.
My last question for you is actually an opportunity, but I wanted to ask, is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't on this interview so far?
No, I feel like you were very thorough, and you gave me a lot of rope to hang myself with. No, no, you gave me a lot of time to be able to express who I am. I hope that's coming across. I do honestly care about people. I care about the people in our office. I care about working families and taxpayers. I've been out there trying to reach out to the people that I can. It's very difficult at this point in time, but I do have support from several unions so far, because I care about the working family, which is the taxpayers, it's the voters, it's also the people in our office. And I think that passion for the people and for what I do will translate into you getting the best assessor.
Thank you. As kind of a sign off and a last question, before I ask you to share your website and everything for folks watching, who is your hero? Who inspires you in public service or in your life? I know that's a little bit of a curveball, but I want to give an opportunity. Wow, that is a tough one. There are a lot of options, right? But I think this is going to sound horribly corny. Bear with me. I think my husband. He supports me throughout all of my crazy adventures. I've taken us on 3 different surrogacy journeys. I carried babies for other families, and there's a lot of men that couldn't handle that. And he was there and he supported me. And then I said, I want to run for assessor. Kind of out of the blue, and he supported me. So you take a breath. Yeah, he's very self-sacrificing as far as letting me run with this craziness. He currently works at the assessor's office. That's where we met and fell in love. And if I win, he will lose his job because I can't manage him. So
for him to still back me and say, yes, you can do this. You are the best person for this. That's huge. That's very important. Along that same lines, he's also incredibly personable. Like, he's just one of the friendliest people you'll ever meet. Everybody loves Rich. So yeah, he's top of my list.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you have a good support system. I know that running for office is exhausting and frustrating and takes a toll on your family. And I just want to thank you for taking the time to run and for all the energy and dedication you've shown to this bid. I don't see any additional questions that have come in yet. So I'd like to give you an opportunity if you would share your contact information for your campaign and your website. I'll make sure that we include it in the description of the video, but if you'd like to share that really quickly.
Absolutely. So you can reach out to me at Jennifer, the number 4 assessor at Gmail. I got a trend going. So my Facebook and my Instagram are also at Jennifer, the number 4 assessor, trying to keep it easy. And then if you need to reach out to me by phone, it's 801-839-4469. So feel free to reach out if you have questions, concerns, if I can help in any way.
Thank you. And I would just like to echo what Jennifer said earlier to please vote. The Westview Media decided to do these Candid Candidates events because many offices like the county assessor don't often have public forums where you can talk to candidates. So if you are watching this recording after this event has ended, I would encourage you to reach out to Jennifer with any questions that you have. You can go to vote.utah.gov to get registered and to make sure that you receive your ballot in time for the general election on November 3rd. And Jennifer, I just want to give you a big shout out and a thank you. Again, I understand how difficult it is to run for office and the toll that it takes. And I appreciate your time tonight. And good luck.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
All right, you take care. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a great evening.
Bye-bye.